When it comes to love, we often assume that men fall just like women do, through sweet words, shared laughs, and good chemistry. But if you've ever wondered why some men seem so emotionally available while others keep their hearts behind locked doors, there's a reason. And that reason has nothing to do with you, not your beauty, not your worth, not your effort. It has everything to do with what's happening inside him. Before a man can truly fall in love, not just feel attracted or infatuated, but genuinely surrender to deep emotional commitment, there are three things he needs, three inner green lights that must turn on. Without them, even the most perfect relationship won't land. But with them, a man can fall, deeply, completely, and willingly. Today, we'll walk through those three things, one by one, and once you understand them, you'll never blame yourself for someone else's inability to love again. Let's begin with the first. 1. He needs to feel safe to be imperfect. We live in a world where men are constantly told to be strong, to achieve, to fix, to win. From the time they're boys, they hear messages like, "Don't cry, be a man, don't show weakness." And so they grow into men who wear masks. Not because they want to lie, but because they're afraid of being seen as not enough. Now imagine that man in a romantic relationship. He wants to connect. He wants to be loved. But he's terrified of what will happen if someone sees behind the curtain, if someone sees that he doesn't always have it together, that he gets scared, that he doubts himself, that he doesn't have all the answers. This is why the first thing a man needs before he can fall in love is the safety to be imperfect. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior or ignore red flags. It simply means you create a space where he doesn't have to earn love through perfection, where he doesn't have to pretend to be the hero all the time, where he can say, "I'm struggling today," and not worry that you'll think less of him. When a man meets a woman who welcomes not just his confidence but his vulnerability, something profound happens. His nervous system relaxes. His walls begin to lower. And for the first time, he realizes that love doesn't require performance. It only requires presence. And in that realization, he finds a doorway into connection. Not the kind based on trying to impress, but the kind based on being truly seen. You don't need to fix him. You don't need to be his therapist. You just need to let him be human. You need to let him breathe. That breath, that moment of exhale, that's when love sneaks in. 2. He needs to feel respected for who he is, not what he does. There is a quiet truth that many men carry but rarely say out loud. They fear being valued only for their utility, for what they can provide, for how they can help, for what they bring to the table. Of course, every human wants to feel useful. But when a man feels like he's only appreciated for what he does, his job, his income, his problem-solving skills, he starts to feel like a machine, not a man. And machines don't love, they function. Before a man can fall in love, he needs to feel that his presence, not just his productivity, is valuable. He needs to know that who he is as a person matters to you. His sense of humor, his quirks, his quiet moments, his way of looking at the world. These are the things that make him him. And when he sees that you actually notice, respect, and enjoy those parts, something softens. He no longer feels like he's in a performance review. He feels like he's in a relationship, a real one, where he's more than a paycheck or a project manager. This doesn't mean you shouldn't appreciate the things he does for you. Expressing gratitude is beautiful, but let your appreciation go deeper. Let him know that even if he stopped doing all the impressive things, you'd still value the essence of who he is. Because here is the truth. A man who feels deeply respected becomes a man who can love deeply. Respect is to men what emotional connection is to women. It's not just desired, it's essential. And if you want to test this theory, try this. The next time he shares an opinion, pause, listen, and say, "I really appreciate how you see things." Watch what happens. Watch how his eyes change. That one moment of respect might open his heart more than 100 compliments ever could. 3. He needs to believe he can make you happy, without losing himself. This is the one most people miss. A man may admire you, desire you, even adore you, but he will not fully fall in love unless he believes this one thing: I can make her happy and still be me. Why does this matter so much? Because many men carry a quiet fear that love will require them to change who they are, that they'll have to constantly adjust, constantly sacrifice, constantly walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. And if a man believes that loving you means losing himself, he'll pull back, not because he doesn't care, but because he's afraid of disappearing. What men need, what all people need, is the sense that they can add to someone's life without erasing their own. They want to enhance your joy, not replace their identity to fit into your version of happiness. So when a man meets a woman who owns her happiness, who doesn't rely on him to fix, complete, or rescue her, but still allows him to contribute, that's when love begins to bloom. It's subtle. It's powerful. It's the woman who says, I love how I feel around you, rather than, I need you to feel okay. It's the woman who lights up when he arrives, but still glows when she's alone. That energy, that independence paired with receptivity, it tells him, I can make her happy without losing my own soul. And that's when the fear of being swallowed by a relationship fades. That's when he feels safe enough to love. Because love, real love, isn't about dependency. It's about mutual freedom and choice. If you've ever heard a man say, she was amazing, but I just didn't feel like myself around her, that's what he meant. He didn't feel like he could bring his full self into the relationship. But when a man finds a woman who welcomes all of him and still holds her own, that is the kind of love he'll never want to leave. Now that you've heard the 3 things, emotional safety, authentic respect, and the freedom to bring happiness without self-abandonment, you might notice something. None of these require you to chase, perform, or become someone else. They simply ask you to become more of who you truly are, because the kind of man who's ready for love, he doesn't need perfection, he needs presence, he doesn't need fantasy, he needs real connection. And most importantly, he doesn't need you to become less. He needs you to become more of the woman who is already inside you. And if you've been in relationships where you gave everything, but it still wasn't enough, know this: you weren't too much. You simply gave to someone who wasn't ready to receive. Love can only land where there's room, and some hearts, no matter how kind they are still too full of fear to let anything in. So don't take it personally. Don't close your heart. Just take what you've learned and keep showing up in your truth. Because the right man, he'll see you. He'll feel safe. He'll feel respected. He'll feel free. And when those 3 things align, he won't fall in love slowly. He'll fall all at once. Not because you convinced him, not because you chased him, but because you made it safe to stop running.